In today's episode, I hosted Vanessa Angerer on the podcast. Vanessa is a friend of mine from the Gold Coast of Australia. With a huge passion for running, fundraising, and inspiring others, she's achieved several running feats that are both impressive and motivating. Earlier this year, at the time of recording this episode, V had just completed her 25 for 25 challenge, where she ran 25 kilometers each day for 25 days in a row and finished on her 25th birthday. She did this to support a mental health charity close to her heart called Livin', whose purpose is to break the stigma surrounding mental health. Live and promote the message, it ain't weak to speak. Like many people, including myself, who strive to achieve great things, V shares that she struggles with giving herself credit at times and finds it hard to reflect on her achievements. I found her vulnerability through this conversation authentic and inspiring, and I know she will continue to lead, educate, help, and inspire others both in the running space and outside of the running space for many years to come. It was a pleasure to host V on the podcast, and I hope you enjoy this conversation. Welcome back to the First 42K podcast. Today I'm very excited because I'm joined by my friend Vanessa, who is very inspiring. She's inspired many on the Gold Coast and just recently took on an epic challenge. She's an endurance athlete who represents LSKD. Vanessa, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this chat.
Yeah, me too. It's really cool. It's, first thing Monday morning, and we're getting it out of the way to start the day. It's a great way to start the day. I'm feeling positive and very excited for it. So I want to dive into your background because what you've done just recently, to give a bit of context, 25 kilometers a day for 25 days in a row. We'll talk more about that experience soon, but that's a huge thing. Have you always been a runner? Like, how did you get to this point?
I definitely wasn't always a runner. I actually used to really hate running to the point where I'd not wear my sports uniform to school on sports days to get out of sport full stop. My main background was karate and tennis. And tennis was the only running I was comfortable doing. So it took a very long time, like late high school, for me to find any enjoyment out of running.
Wow, yeah. And do you do any more karate and tennis these days?
Both of those stopped when I was about 21. So I did them for a while, like tennis, almost 10 years, and then karate, like 12, 13 years. Yeah. So I got tennis. I just had to pull the pin because I grew up being like the kid that did a bunch of activities, so I couldn't really verse the other kids who only did tennis. Yeah. It's just I wasn't talented in tennis. I had to work hard for that. So it was very hard to then verse the kids who were way more trained up in it.
Like in that one lane, just in tennis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really hard. Hard when you love so many sports. And yeah. No, that's really cool. So found love for running later on, sort of what, would you say 17, 18?
Yeah, around about then. It was actually in grade 7, I ran across country, which to me blows my mind that I found 3 kilometers so hard back then, which, I mean, look, to so many other people, 3 kilometers is definitely still hard. But yeah, I just felt good that day when we had it, and I was like, yeah, we'll just go for it, keep running, don't make any excuses. And I ended up coming second that day. So I went on to districts, and I was like, this is such a cool feeling, like wow, I can actually push myself a little bit. And then got into high school, and that kind of dipped because I started off in a music excellence program, and then shifted into a sports excellence one, which suited my personality a lot more. And then would always give it a crack each year at the cross country. We'd make it to districts, but just could not compete against the kids who focused on that sport. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I feel like obviously there's definitely endurance plays a part in tennis when you're out there for a long time, but ultimately it's power. It's hitting hard, and same with karate. So it's quite different, and that's pretty cool that then, even though you didn't, I guess, take that next step with running in grade 7, you were able to see what you were capable of, these years down the track. So yeah, that's unreal. So talk to me about the 25 for 25, 25 Ks a day for 25 days in a row, and proudly supported Livin', a mental health charity. How was that experience for you?
It was, I haven't really given a moment to sit with it, to be honest, because as soon as I finished, I had a few things just that I had to pump out. But it is just, it's almost surreal that I did that. Waking up at just a bit before 4 a.m. pretty much every single morning, Especially that first week, just from going from truly believing in yourself and doing something to like having such a low point that you question your ability to do something that you know you can do, but you're in such a dark place that you just like try to shut it all off. But as soon as it started getting better, like I was just happy that every morning even though I didn't want to talk some mornings, it was just so nice having that like solidarity of having my friends run with me. It made it much more like, I don't know, comforting.
Yeah, of course. Well, you were doing a lot. It's not as if you were running 25Ks a day and resting for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Like I'd literally just like pump out the run and then just be like, okay, bye guys, I got to go to work now. And then like go to work and then still like, and then I'd have to do my recovery. Otherwise it would have been much harder. So yeah, it wasn't my sole focus each day to just run 25. I still had like my clients to teach and coach, and work and social life. And this is also like, I haven't been in a relationship in a long time. So I'm like navigating, making sure that my person gets time. So
yeah, a lot of commitments. I think hats definitely off to you for that, because I think, this is something I've mentioned on the podcast before. It's like when people take on these things, like my run last year from Cairns to Melbourne, or Akana's run from the tip to toe, we're not working at the time, and you've got to navigate all of these things. And sometimes, there's a challenge in being away, like I guess sleeping in a motorhome, living in a caravan, that sort of thing. But also, all of those other factors, like you just spoke about, they're sort of at rest at that time. So I think well done on getting through that with challenging circumstances outside of the running as well. What was your favorite part of the experience?
I think, like in total, it was just like having my friends there.
Yeah.
Just knowing that my friends were willing to be there so many times, and run the distances. Not everyone did 25Ks, but it's just showing up for a friend like that is really beautiful. And then like the actual like fundraising event day that I held, that was just really nice. Like that gave me so much energy that I ran my fastest 25K of the challenge. Just like everyone being in good spirits, being like there to support the cause, that like it just meant so much to me to have that all come together.
Yeah, that's huge. It's huge. Why Livin? Why is that so important to you?
Well, firstly, like they're local, they're in Burleigh. So it was good to kind of work with a local charity. Like last year I worked with Stay Chatty and they're in Tassie. So really there's so many charities out there that are like out there doing the work. So it's kind of nice to like bring more attention to them, because so many people didn't know who Livin was. And then when I did my final run in Brisbane, I was like, this is such a great opportunity to like let more people know that these places exist. So like, I'd fundraise for Livin again as well. They were like so helpful and like helping me get anything that I needed to like promote their brand a little bit more. And just like they had people come out to the fundraiser. So yeah, they do amazing work. They help people, and they've made this fundraiser so much more like rewarding. Yeah,
fantastic. What was the most challenging part of the experience? Is it the sleep deprivation?
The sleep deprivation really caught up to me at the end. Yeah. It was just so tedious waking up and just being like, roll out of bed, really quick shower, clothes, go. Roll out of bed, quick shower, clothes, go. I got so tired towards the end of it. And especially, so the first week of it when my body was just getting used to what I was doing in the first place, what was happening? I just was so tired one morning. It was the 4th day. I got no sleep that night. Like I woke up maybe like 6 or 7 times in a 6-hour sleep. So like constantly disturbed. There was heat exhaustion. Yeah. So that on top of everything, that first week was so humid. I was not having a good time. So just probably that first week's the worst, and then the build up of fatigue.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even running early in the morning, like it's still hot here on the Gold Coast. Yeah, for sure. And did you find, during the experience, and it was really, really cool to be able to support in a very small way, I was like, you were saying there's a number of ways people can support the 25 for 25, either donate, share awareness to it so other people can donate and to what you're doing, or do your own challenge with a 25 for 25 ring to it. So I did 25 minutes of core work a day for 25 days in a row because I feel like core is a weakness of mine. It's a weakness of a lot of runners. It's definitely not our favorite thing to do for a lot of people, but for me, I was keen to dive into that, and I'm really glad that I saw that through. I found it really hard, but especially sort of day 17 to 22. And it was weird because I found some energy again towards the end, but that sort of last third was so hard. Did you find that as well?
Yeah, there was this one day where I was like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I really like having you here. Please don't talk to me.
Yeah.
It's just not a day for it. And it was a few of those consecutive days. There was a few breakdowns. Like, I think I was maybe 20 Ks into my, 20-second run. And I was like, and I'm just going to, stop here and have a cry. Because it was more so just, the weight of what I was doing had hit me. Like, I'm doing this for something that was just, it meant so much to me. Like, I had this rush of thoughts of all the people that I've ever known to experience mental health, and that just was so heavy. And I was like, I need to feel this. It was just, it was the emotional side of things. I just got so either tired, overwhelmed, sad, angry that this even has to, I need to do something like this for a situation. Yeah. So the emotions take over. They
do, don't they? I think it is in many ways what makes the experience so special though, because whilst it is so hard in the moment, you look back and you think about that day. You're like, yeah, I got through that. And then that just gives you the confidence again, whatever you go for in the future, whether it's running related, not running related, you can do hard things.
Yeah, definitely. But I did want to say it was so... again, comforting to see your stories. Whatever time of the day it was that you were finishing your 25 minutes of core, I was like, it really meant a lot that you were, because I had to say, you're the only person not the only person, but you consistently did your 25 minutes of your set thing every single day. And I love to see you showing up and doing that. And you held yourself accountable by posting it. Yeah. So, seriously, kudos to you. I really appreciated seeing that.
No, thank you. It was, as I said, it was tough. And there were many days where I left it till 8:30 at night just before I had to go.
An 11 p.m. one at some point.
Yeah, I did. And there was one day where I was so stoked. I was down in Melbourne and I had my mates, and it was a Saturday night. We'd played some tennis. They're having beers. I wasn't, but they're like, oh, look. I was like, boys, I'm sorry. I've got to run at 5:30 in the morning. I've got to be up early and I still need to do this 25 minutes of core. And they jumped in. So that meant a lot to me. 5 mates doing 5 minutes each.
Yeah, that was really cool to see as well.
Yeah, for sure. So have you had much time to reflect on the experience? Obviously, as you said, just under 2 weeks ago, have you had time to look back and feel, the pride that comes with doing something like this, or is it just on to the next thing now?
Almost not. I did have some Q&As that I asked everyone to ask me questions. So that kind of gave me a moment to think about, okay, so what was the hardest day? What was this? How did I recover? How's my body feeling? That allowed me to sit with it a little bit. And then otherwise, not much. I really, really struggle with giving myself credit. Yeah. I don't even think I understand what I just did.
Yeah.
I know I should feel proud, but I don't. Okay. It's even when I finished my races towards the end of last year, I just it's almost like a numbness. Mm-hmm. But I'll keep racing. I love it during the moment, but I move on so quickly to the next thing that even though I know consciously to care about what I just did, I've had a very hard time to actually process.
I think David Goggins talks a lot about that, in the sense it's satisfied but never finished, and that's sort of what I'm hearing here.
Yeah.
It's if you were to really look back, you are proud, but you almost don't give yourself that time to feel proud because you're so driven and you're on to the next thing.
Always hungry.
Which is good though. Like again, when you can connect it to a cause, and not even, it always doesn't have to be for a cause, but just knowing that you're out there and through movement, you're going to inspire others, which you definitely, I know you did through the 25 for 25 and through everything you do. You said you had a big challenge last year as well. What was that one?
The April 465. Yeah. So that was, in April I ran like the kilometers of the calendar day each day. So like 1st of April, 1K, 15th of April, 15K, and so on for the whole month. And that was a 465K month. But April is much cooler. So like in hindsight, I did this with a theme of like me turning 25, which is why I did it in February. But when I did the April challenge, like it just didn't seem that hard, even though I had like consecutive days of 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Like, and on the last week of that challenge, I did 200 kilometers. Like I haven't run that far. That's my longest week ever. And yeah, that challenge was much easier. But when I finished that challenge, I felt the sense of like, wow, I've done that. And that's probably the last time I felt that in a long time. Yeah. So, that marks like the last time I was like, wow, proud of myself. And then it kind of dropped off because my year was so hectic last year for me. And yeah, it's been so much to process, just like hitting another thing after another thing.
Yeah, I think, and it's a hard one because like as obviously you get better and stronger, your challenges get harder. You continue to grow, and that's what we all do, right? Yeah. So we've just got to make sure that we do still take that time to enjoy it and reflect. And I was really glad to hear that you said you loved it in the moment. Obviously not always, but yeah, taking that time and then moving on to the next one, because I can't wait to see what is next for you. If you can do 25 for 25, I don't know what's next. Do you have any plans of what's next? Or you haven't?
I haven't even thought about. The only thought I've had is like, I don't know if I want to run that many days. Like if I'm still working a job, like my thought was maybe I'll just like take a week off work and just like run 100 Ks every day for 7 days.
That'd be huge.
That could be the goal.
That would be phenomenal.
But I won't even bother thinking about it because again, I don't want to think too far ahead. In saying that, there's a level of planning that I've got to make sure I put in, because what I did say, someone asked like, what's something you could learn from that? And I'm like, how can you prepare for a challenge like that? And like you would know this as well, is you can't just wake up one day and then start something like this. I mean, you can, but you're making it really bad for yourself. So if I was to do something, I'd have to put maybe like a couple of months and then set a date and then figure it out from there.
Definitely. If you don't have the base, like we always talk about how, everyone in running talks about the mind, and it's all about the mind, but
like your body still is carrying you. Like I can't say this enough. Like our body is, especially like when we're really young, we're only in our like young 20s or early 30s. We still have at least 40, 50 years, like with the way medicine and technology is. We've got a long time ahead of us, but we're making that much shorter or much more unenjoyable for when we're older. Like I constantly, like if I'm at P3 and I'm telling people like what I'm doing, they're always like, oh, your body's gonna like hate you for that when you're older. And I'm like, look, it could, but I'm also being very mindful of how I'm preparing myself for these things. It's not going to help me 50 years down the track if I just wake up one day and run 100 kilometers out of nowhere. Like I suffered enough last year doing Black Hole 100, let alone if I just did that with no training. Yeah,
exactly. And it's like your approach to training is spot on in terms of it's very holistic. This is something I talk about probably through every podcast because I want to educate people how to train properly for running. And, you know, when I watch your training, there's a lot of strength work. There's different types of runs. There's slow runs, fast runs, all of that. Yeah. It's what helps your body hold in good stead.
Absolutely. Like before this podcast, I had a leg session and I am suffering for it now. But yeah, I'm glad that before I found running, like properly found running, I was already well into the gym. So it's been nice to just mesh those two together and understand the importance of putting those two things together. I'm starting to see more like the endurance athletes that have been around a bit longer. I've forgotten the name of one, but he was recently on a Rich Roll podcast, and he very, very frequently posts his gym workouts to kind of change the approach that runners have. Like, we've got these incredible runners that can go really fast, but imagine if they were like stronger and did more gym sessions, obviously the tailored running specific things, but like they could be so much more powerful. Like, I wonder how much faster you can make someone if they did more strength.
Stronger, yeah, for sure. And just less injury risk. Huge. I think that's the biggest one. Like, ultimately, when people say, oh, I love running, but I hate the gym. Well, I'm like, well, get in the gym so that you can keep running if you love it. Because if you don't,
you're making it harder down the track.
Or you will likely get injured if you're doing a lot of running without the strength work. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. I know that community is obviously very important for you. You work with LSKD, which is really, really cool. And they're huge on community as well. Has it always been a passion of yours to help people with their own fitness?
I'd say, like, I didn't actually realize this until like maybe later last year when I decided to be a coach. I've spent a lot of my life like helping people in fitness. Like, I started, as crazy as this sounds, I started teaching karate when I was 12. And I loved helping people. Like, and that was not just teaching kids. I had adults that I was teaching karate to. But it was so rewarding seeing them like do something, like move their body. And then I started coaching tennis as well. And they were little kids, but like I always found such a fulfillment in just doing something that was physical. And so, yeah, when I kind of made a career change, I was like, this is perfect. Like, I love helping people. I love the joy that it brings, like their faces when they achieve something that's just, to them, they thought would never happen. And I'm just like, you can do it, and there's a way to do it. You just need to either seek help or research yourself. But yeah, it brings me so much joy.
Yeah, that feeling of helping someone PB in whatever it is, just go one step further than they didn't think they could go.
Yeah, like my client, when she started out with me, she's one of my first clients. She hadn't done a 10K without stopping before. And then her starting 5K pace went from a 6:34 to a 5:44.
Wow, that's huge.
In like the space of like 2 months of just gradual build, we were trying to manage like this like injury or this condition she had without triggering it or making anything hurt. And to this day, no injuries. She continues to get distance PBs every single week. And she's just having the best time. She's so happy. I'm like, that's what running is. Like, I want you to enjoy running, not think it's a chore.
Yeah, well said. I think, so often people, until they do engage with a coach or do some research of their own and then start training that holistic approach that we're talking about, that how you train yourself, how I train, I'm sure how you're training this client of yours as well. It's when it all comes together, and then people will actually enjoy it more too. And obviously part of it too is cross training and finding what cross training works for you. Like, for some people they love swimming, and that's awesome. And for some people it's going for a bike ride, and that's awesome. And, I think yoga and mobility plays a big part as well. So when you put it all together, and the core work, don't forget the core work, the body can hang in there pretty well. So that's pretty cool. What would you say to a young girl or a woman looking to get into running?
I would just say start small.
Yeah.
Like, give it a crack and keep at it for like a decent period of time. Don't just give up because it was hard for one day or like a week or something, because nothing is just going to be a flick of a switch easy the first time you do it. Like, pretty much everything starts off, you got to start from somewhere. It's kind of like you're a baby, you start off small, and no matter what, you're going to grow. And that's a gradual process. Like, it's inevitable if you keep at something that it'll grow if you're committed and consistent. Yeah,
I love that. And they will find, some real happiness and fulfillment in that challenge too.
Yeah, and like to not hesitate either. Like, I'm having a lot of pinch me moments of recent, and I'm like, it's because I kept going for it. Like, I stopped worrying that it wasn't right for me, or like, that's not the path I thought I was supposed to take. Like, you just give it a crack and enjoy the ride. And if it doesn't work, go find another ride.
Yeah, so true. Did you feel like, because I think this is another thing, like a lot of people, they want to start something. It doesn't have to be running related, could be even a business project, anything. And they're like, oh, it's just not the right time. It's not the right time. It's not the right time. Did you feel like it was the right time to go into the 25 for 25, or you just went for it because you believed in it?
Yeah, I was just like, I knew I had to do another challenge. Like it was after what happened with last year's one, I was like, I'm keen to do another one next year and hopefully every year going forward. So I was just like, I just need to lock this in, figure out what the challenge is going to be. Okay, my birthday is like enough time for me to train for it, and it just worked really well. I was just like, I don't want to keep pushing it back. Like I want to make this happen. Yeah, there's just no more hesitation.
I love that. Let's just go for it. Go all in.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, really cool. Where can people find you, V, if they want to connect?
It'll be on Instagram is my main one. Just VANESSA. NGERER. TikTok, if you want to have a laugh, same at. But yeah, that's it.
Running vids or more dance?
Makeup videos. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A bit of a laugh.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, one question I always ask every guest on this podcast is, tell me about your first marathon. So how was that first experience for you?
First marathon was insane. Like basically I was meant to run the Sunshine Coast Marathon in 2021. It got pushed back to a date that I couldn't do, so I just rolled it into next year. But I was like, I've just put 14 weeks of training in. I'm not doing this marathon. So I did I like mapped out my own course along the Gold Coast. It was a 6 a.m. start at the Spit, and then ran a half marathon up to like almost Currumbin, and just run all the way back. It was an awful day. There was not a cloud in the sky. It was so damn hot. I didn't know how nutrition worked at the time.
Were you cramping up?
At the end, maybe the last 5Ks, my quads are always the ones that go, especially when you're just slapping pavement all day long. Yeah. It was, I think I finished that in like 3 hours 55. So I'm still happy. I got it under 4 hours. Yeah. I was like, and there was a lot of walking happening that day. But in saying that, pace yourself. I was running with my friends and I was like, I feel really good. I'm just going to keep going this pace. They were all running like sub 5s. I was like, this is a bad idea. That was a bad idea. But yeah, in the end, I got it done. It was really cool because I only found running pretty recently, and so I've spent majority of my life like around friends that either gym or like they just have very chill like lifestyles with fitness, and they came out of their way, rocked up to all the checkpoints I'd set up and came to support me. Like my friends that don't run were so willing to be there for me. That's like I always circle back to the fact that I have such an incredible support network that anything is going to be possible because I know I've always got people behind me.
That's huge.
Like it's great. Like I can do things by myself, but it's so powerful to know that I've got people.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's often people, you know, this is a conversation I have with people. When you start to do these things, people don't understand you. They're like, what are you doing? Like, I don't get that. But if they support you, they're still incredible.
And that's what I mean. Yeah. Like the fact that they don't even, they'll say like, oh, you're crazy if you're doing that.
Yeah.
But they don't question it. They're like, they know me and they're just, this is great. Like, go you. You're doing you. I'm like, that's beautiful.
Yeah, just letting you and assisting you and helping you show up as authentically you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's incredible. Well, V, it's been awesome to have you on. Thanks so much for having a chat with me. And as I said, whatever is next in the running space and even outside of the running space, I know you'll attack it with 100% intensity and inspire many others along the way. Thanks so much again for your time and sharing many insights into how you train and some of your achievements. It's been awesome.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
We hope that you love the podcast, and if you did, please leave a review and share it with others. Did you know that you can train with us at First 42K for as little as $9.95 per week? If you're looking to fall in love with running and achieve your first 5K, 10K, half marathon or marathon, unlock your 1-week free trial at first42k.com.au. I'd like to thank our partners at HGG Performance for providing the podcast space. HGG Performance manufactures strength and rehabilitation equipment, which is hugely beneficial for runners looking to improve performance and prevent injury. Use the code FIRST42K for 10% off their products. Until next time, live happy and run strong.